and Tina Brown.
Woo! Woo!
And I believe you guys have a guest you would like to invite to the stage?
Yes, first of all, we have with us tonight Reggie.
Yay! Hey, sit next to him the whole time. He said he didn't skate.
We also have, I don't know if you want to come up, but DJ Arson is here.
Woo! Woo! I don't skate that well. I was like,
Crew members here, we have Johnny Nuñes, who's up there, and
woo!
we have a few ninjas in the house who are behind the scenes helping us day in and day out. So.
Aww.
And last but not least, of course, we have our editor, Katherine Garrison.
I mean, it's such a beautiful film. I'd love to start talking about the mood and the music. So, I mean, I know that the music, some of it comes from the different DJs that played within the different regions and that everyone dances to James Brown, but obviously there are other songs included within the score. Can you talk a little bit about, how that came together? Did you guys have an idea of what you wanted to layer on top of the film?
So I wasn't sure where the question was going. Reggie knows all things about skate music. Reggie actually wrote 3 of the tracks for us, so.
Hey! Hey!
So the music was a huge collaboration. We knew that to do this film justice that we needed a skate music producer, and so Reggie actually helped introduce us to a man named Kizo Kane, who wrote most of the music that is playing inside the rink that is authentic skate music. And then along with him, we had 2 composers that composed the other scenes and then worked with him.
I mean, there's so much energy in the film. And despite all the levity
That's DJ Arson. So he's a national DJ. He's probably one of the best national DJs in the country.
Woo! Woo!
Despite all the levity in the film and some of the incredible moves, I could watch the Chicago Underground on repeat. I've never seen anything like it.
It is pretty amazing.
It's really amazing. But there is some much more complicated content here, especially considering the national conversation we're having about race. And it's so hard to watch this without feeling like yet another ritual is being dismantled within the Black community. And Reggie, you yourself have been an ambassador. You've gone across the state and tried to promote adult nights. How do you feel? Do you think that things like this film and the larger conversation and the fact that there's a national network will maybe bring about a renaissance, or do you think that we'll see Rinks continue to close?
I think that it's up to us. We control our own destinies, right? I think we have to decide what we want for our children. I think we have to decide what we want for ourselves. And I think we have to make, really good conscious choices. So in looking at the documentary, there are a lot of different problems, circumstances, and situations that skaters all around the country deal with. And what you got to see was just a little small piece of those issues. Our wheels are too small. No headphones. See, these are all the little details and things that they do to try to, steer us away from skating. But one thing that we're going to do is we're going to skate anyway. We're going to find a way. So what happens is, next is really all up to us. I think there are a lot of issues that we have to kind of bring to the table, and that's what I was doing with Kurt. That you saw that was in the film. In the state of North Carolina, things are tricky. We're in the South, and things are issues. I'll give you a case in point. True story. There's a local rink that I have that on Friday nights, where it's mostly, whites, and it's a totally different night. I walk in there, no security, no problems, everything's whatever. So they have a set of bathrooms in there that are brand new. So we go in there and we're just like, man, we never saw these bathrooms before. We're just in there using them. And then I come out that next day, I come to the teen session, which is mostly kind of predominantly African American. those bathrooms are closed to us.
What?
And then the bathrooms that I did see, they were disgusting. They had no doors on the stalls. They were just open. I mean, it was horrible. And I was just like, man, I was just here last night because I was actually breaking in the skate booth. So when you travel and actually go like around to different rinks and you go to different places, you see a lot of different circumstances and situations. You see a lot of racism. You see a lot of prejudices that's around. So it's some of everywhere, but we have the power to change it. In this film, myself and the skaters, people that you see that are drawing awareness to the situation brings this conversation and makes it to where we all can do a little bit to help. And I think you all just being here and just seeing this film, it does so much. Because you get to go back to your communities and you get to talk about what you saw. And you get to talk about and spread the word and say, hey, you know what? Maybe in our local communities we could do a little bit more to kind of help. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. Not only pick up a pair of roller skates, but encourage people to be better people, to treat people how they want to be treated. Okay, thank you so much.
Before I open it up to the audience, I'd like to go down the row and have you all say what your favorite move is.
First of all, DJ Arson, I'd like to introduce myself. Sorry for the lateness. Definitely want to thank Dyana, for capturing the underground audience or the underground crowd, the skate community that, we've strived for years to keep going and going and going. And as you can see in the film, that the doors just keep shutting and we have no place to turn. And it's gotten to the point where skating has just turned national. And I feel like that's a big rebirth for the skate community, the skate world, and it's a big eye opener. And what it did is it basically took skating national. And if, like this film has said, and plenty of us have said, if you've never seen it, you have no idea the amount of styles that are across the entire community. I mean, world in that manner. It's gone international. So, I mean, it's just so relatively small, and this film has captured a way to bring it out to, like Reggie said, for you guys to help pass it on to the next generation, for us to pass it on to our kids and keep it going. But getting back to, I guess, the question at hand, our favorite styles, I mean, I tell you, like my first experience when I got to my first national party, which was, I'd say maybe 12 to 15 years ago or something like that. And it was like Felicia said in the movie, and I just was like, skating. And I mean, I was skating 15 minutes away from my house. Like, oh, we're going to North Carolina to skate. Oh, we're going to Atlanta to skate. What? I'm not going 8 hours, 10 hours to go skating. I can skate 15 minutes away. And, but what it did that very first time, and God, rest his soul, Kendall White, who just recently passed away a couple of months ago, he literally changed my life when I experienced one of these national skate scenes. And I mean, when I tell you the different styles like Chicago and Philly and Detroit, everything that you saw in the film just completely opened my eyes. And when I see these rinks closing and I see the national scene forming, I said, oh, this is a complete rebirth right now. Like, we could really, take the skate game into a chokehold and really get it back where it needs to be and keep these doors open in these rinks. So, I mean, I don't particularly have a favorite style. I am from New York, but I travel to so many different states that I've embraced JB, I've embraced fast backwards from Philly, I've embraced, open house. I mean, the splitters, it's just the different styles all across the board. I love all these different styles. It's just so unique. And I love the fact that, these styles just came from Chicago, that you got New Yorkers doing Chicago skating, you got Philly doing New York skating, Atlanta's doing, it's just a complete circle of love. And to me, all the styles are great. Thank you.
You edited it, you must have.
All of them. I can't pick a favorite because I love all you guys, really.
Well, first of all, to find out that someone from Australia and Hawaii encapsulated the whole entire United U.S. or U.S. of A. I didn't know as much as I learned from being with these two girls. Their dexterity and determination to get what they wanted reminds me of all of us, you know. They've been able to capture something so beautiful that I just took for granted because I just thought skating was just fun. And then after being involved and seeing their desire to show the world something that should be saved, just, you know, basically inspired me to be a better person. So I'm trying my best to use whatever leverage I have and relationships I have to help sponsor anything that involves roller skating. So I've been talking to Samsung and a few other brands to hopefully help any roller skating ring from closing. And so I just pray that this continues on. Thank you for educating as well as everybody.
And that was powerful.
You didn't tell us your favorite move.
Favorite move.
Move is the gentleman who was one of the elders doing a turn over and over. I don't know what you call it.
Yes.
That was just that was beauty in motion. And my wife, being from Ohio, she told me all about the roller skating world before getting involved with the documentary, and just to see all these classical spaces being shut down for real estate. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I'll let you tell the story.
We need this good favorite.
So we have some good news updates and some bad news updates. In the scene that you saw where skaters have been protesting, in Baltimore they won and they got their skate rink back. However, World on Wheels, which you saw at the end of the film, which is our happy ending, they've actually been asked to close because the landowner decided that he didn't like their clientele, and he told them, quote unquote, that if they don't clean them up, that they have to shut down. And so he actually had just till this week to come up with a whole lot of money. That it's a complicated story, but they're trying to get lawyers. We're trying to help if we can, but the rink you just saw actually is being threatened the same way again. So.
And they've actually had like Beyonce skate there, Snoop Dogg, Chris Brown, Usher, Will and Jada Smith. Like there's been a host of high profile people that have skated there, and yet the landowner still thinks they need to clean up their clientele. So, you know, it's happening across the country. It's not just happening in, you know, southern states. It's happening in a city like Los Angeles.
You guys should send them a screener of the film.
Oh yeah. I think we were the first people they called, the owners of the World on Wheels, once it happened.
I know you guys haven't had a chance to say your favorite moves, but I'd love to throw it out to the audience. Do you have any questions from the audience?
Your hand just went up so quickly.
Well, because my big question was, what happened with Reggie's skate night? Like, did it continue? Did it, like, what's going on?
The skate night did continue. Military, so we had actually ended up getting stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana. Like a little bit right after, kind of like everything started to happen. But Kurt actually continued on with it, and it did pretty well, you know, for a good amount of time. It's been a while since I actually talked to him, but some of the local skaters, they say they still continue to skate and still kind of get there. To jump back to favorite move, well, I mean, Chicago taught me everything I know. I mean, just about as far as like styles. All styles are equal. I mean, just like Arson was saying, I mean, it's great. Any place you go, you're going to see something wonderful. If I had a favorite move, it'd probably be the 360 Nutcracker. So you all got a chance to kind of see, you know, what the Nutcrackers were, right? So the 360 Nutcracker is basically, you know, where you touch the ground and you jump up in the air, but you spin around, full circle, and then land. It's one of my favorite moves because it was the hardest move for me to learn. That rink that you actually saw that Calvin was spinning, 87, that's actually where I learned that move. And believe it or not, I learned it from Keith O'Kane. Yeah. He was actually the first one I ever saw do it. And I tried over and over again, a lot of hospital visits, a lot of insurance claims. But eventually I got it, so 360 Nutcracker is definitely my favorite move. But hopefully, you know, not only just the adult night, you know, that was in North Carolina, you know, where I was at the time, will continue, but hopefully around the country, we start to build even more. And what people need to understand is that adult night does not just mean black night, okay? It's an adult night, so it's for everybody that's an adult. And the skate community is welcoming of everyone, not certain people. The only thing you gotta do is have two things, positivity and roller skates, and you're welcome in our community, okay? Thank you.
Do you have any questions from the audience? Well, right there.
What is the best leverage point for, let's say, New York City? Is it money, or is it knowing somebody in de Blasio's office that could help? Or?
Do you know someone in the Blasio?
I mean, I think as you saw in the film, a lot of it comes down to, you know, and every city or state is different, and every rink closing is different. But you know, in the city of New York, we really only have one rink, which is on the tip of Staten Island, and these skaters go to Long Island or to New Jersey. That's where they skate. So you know, in Manhattan, we don't have the Roxy anymore. In Brooklyn, we don't have Empire, Skate Key. Like all the rinks have. Skate 22, all the rinks are shut down. So, I mean, it does come down to, at the end of the day, you know, money. It comes down to money and zoning. So if it's zoned for recreational use, then the rinks can stay. But once they change the zoning to commercial, then as we said in the film, the rinks are lost forever. So really, yeah, if you have the connections, it's about fighting for recreational zoning, so we can have these spaces reopened or remain.
But there is one in Prospect Park.
You said you started this whole thing exploring the Central Park skaters. Where do they fit in? I mean, obviously they're from New York, but where do they fit in? It's outdoor, but are they, like, who are they compared to like the people that go to the adult skate?
I mean, some of them skate in this world as well. There's a lot of crossover. Obviously, culturally, it's different when you're outside than when you're creating this environment. And we decided, because we only had 90 minutes to tell a story, and there were so many stories that could be told, to focus it. But they have the same love for skating, and they're beautiful in their own way. Yeah. Sure. And I would just say that we finished this film just before Tribeca, so we literally ran with the film to you guys. So we haven't had much time to stop and think about how we're going to now take this on the road as a tool for change. And so anyone who, for example, like you, who has connections, has interest, wants to be involved, please contact us. We're putting together a mailing list, and we're going to be over this next year rolling out an impact and engagement campaign to try and help Buddy Loves Rink to come back, which still is closed in Chicago, and who we love dearly, and many others along the way.
Right there.
I just have a comment. I was thoroughly impressed, just from the historical point of view, all the way up until the end of the movie. I was also touched. A lot of skaters I know are probably wanted, that's probably in the documents, you're going, where am I at? It was a story told here. It was a complete story told here, and I'm thoroughly impressed. As far as outside skaters, I've been skating for 57 years. Outside, inside, on the big screen, off the big screen. Like I said, I'm impressed. I think skaters outside, most of the ones I've encountered, from Central Park, Venice Beach, Mission Beach, and places overseas that see this, are just going to be inspired. Just because it's inside, we all got this heart. No matter where it is, we got this heart. We come together regardless of anything. And like I said, I'm impressed. It was a thorough story told there. And even as far as the music, I mean, just the making of our own skates. I mean, we have an entire vast community that people have no idea what it is about at all. They have no idea. I mean, that's just a smidgen of what's going on with us. And as you said, Arson, this is going international. And I think by this event taking place next month in Detroit is spearheading that. Believe me, because the man that's having it, I've been friends with him a number of years, and he's going to take it to the next level. I'm fairly impressed.
Thank you. For those that don't know, Arson was a legend in the skate world. So for him to give us the stamp of approval.
We have to say just on that, I saw someone we did interview as well, and we would have loved to have included in the film. There's over 90 individuals that we interviewed, because at the beginning there wasn't really any book or website that we could find that really explained everything. So we would just have to travel to a city, and the skaters would put us in touch with who we needed to talk to from that city and who we needed to talk from that city. So we just interviewed everybody until we really got an idea of the skate community. So that's 90 individual, not repeat interviews, just 90 individuals. So it was a lot.
Hundreds of actual
We couldn't fit it all in the film.
Was there anything that didn't make it into the final cut that you really wish you could have included?
So much. So much. We had to kill a lot of darlings to make this film.
We have a version where you saw in the end when they do a roll call and you get to see just a little flavor of every different city. We have a version where each of those cities has a minute on its own, and people from those cities talk about their city and where it came from, where the music came from, where the styles came from, and ultimately it just didn't fit. It didn't work in the film, and we had to do what was best for the storytelling. But we have hopes that maybe there's a version for DVD extras or a series on each city where you could have enough time.
But just because there are, every city has its own skate music, so it's different for each city. So we, focused on just a couple and used that throughout the different styles. But really, in that cut that we had, each skate style had its own skate music that we cut to. So you really got the different flavor.
Ohio in itself, for example, has three cities. Each city in Ohio has its own style. So Cleveland is totally different than Cincinnati, which is totally different than Columbus. It's a lot to tell in one film. There's a question.
Okay, we have time for one more.
I'm so not surprised that it took someone from outside the States to see the beauty of the art form.
I'm not surprised it took two people from outside the States to see the beauty of the art form. Unfortunately, it gets racialized and people say, oh, it's a black thing, so we need not do that. It reminds me of like in the days of rock and roll, how people in the UK and England were getting down on the old blues. But the people here were kind of like, oh, that's jungle music, and it's terrible, and it's, you're down, it's a slippery slope. And I appreciate what you said in the beginning about Queen and etc. I went to a very integrated school in Shaker Heights, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I would go with my friends, and it was a really, integrated, fun time. We listened to the Rolling Stones and the B-52s, and it was fun. And I had a little nice Jewish girlfriend. I said, I gotta take you to the other rink. And this was the beginning of hip hop. This was the beginning of Roger Troutman and Zapp and Mo Bounce and James Brown, and I will never forget the look on her face when we walked in and there's a sea of black faces and she's like, oh my God, am I safe? I said, honey, you're good, don't worry about it. I said, just gonna put your lipstick on and get your rhythm and we're gonna have fun tonight. And she was so mind blown. So I just really wanna thank you guys for I took a walk down memory lane for sure. And that really gave me life and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and so that you know, when we're asked, which was quite often, do you feel safe? Or, you're not supposed to be here, we've been told to leave, the cops tell us to leave. And our response every time was, when they asked us, do you feel safe, we would say, why wouldn't we?